So I want to focus on grad school programs, which you recently wrote about. Master's and PhD programs are in even bigger trouble than college programs as a whole. Why is that?
Well, there are many factors to that, but right now, chief among them is President Donald Trump. The Trump administration has been working to reshape higher education in general, but a kind of perfect storm of political threats has hit master's programs and PhD programs especially hard. There's the crackdown on student visa applicants and international students who make up a disproportionate amount of grad students in this country compared to undergrads. There is the curtailing of federal research money and the huge historic uncertainty around that relationship between the federal government and research universities, which are hitting grad programs especially hard, PhD programs in particular, but also master's programs, particularly in STEM fields. And then there's also new strict limits on federal lending for grad students who used to be able to borrow practically unlimited amounts of money to attend grad school and are now going to have some pretty strict new caps on that lending. And a lot of people say that it was those uncapped loans that kind of fueled the rise of grad school programs, making them the cash cow for universities. I actually recently sat down with Ken Ruggiero of Ascent Funding about student borrowing from the private loan perspective, because they're a private lender. Let's take a listen.
In about 50 to 75% of the student situation, the private sector can support the student with all the borrowing they need at rates that are either a little less than the current federal loan or a little bit higher than the federal loan.
Why is there a difference in the rate that some private lenders would charge versus the federal government?
The federal government doesn't pull credit. Credit is priced relative to the expectation of repayment. So when there's a high expectation of repayment, then we can give very, very low interest rates, lower than the federal government.
Okay, so the economics are clearly changing for grad school. What are the schools themselves doing in response to this? How are they dealing with this?
Some of the wealthiest schools are able to kind of be more flexible, and some of them are actually setting up their own federal loan programs, or rather their own loan programs to replace federal lending streams. Yale did this, UPenn did this, I believe Harvard is doing it. Others are going to be hedging by enrolling more undergraduate students. The ones that can do that have deep applicant pools, big brand names, money to expand physically their campuses. Columbia's doing this, the University of Chicago, Dartmouth College. Other schools that don't have the same kinds of brand name recognition, they're setting up online programs, cheaper programs, and things like AI. But a lot of colleges are stretched too thin to really adapt and are going to really feel this hit them very hard financially.